All right, so we're live.
All
We're
right, we're
live.
live.
Let's get this started.
6:02. If anyone,
6:04. We're a little bit late, but it's all good. All systems operational for this awesome December 5th after the crazy full supermoon in Gemini and the very beginning of this awesome retrograde. We are releasing the book Anchor Light with myself, Caleb, and Diane. The collaboration of the three of us in putting together this book to help as many people as possible. We had and still have, it's the full intent that everyone who receives this book will receive their own individual healing, and you will know if you're ready for it. And this book is also, it represents the beginning of a new light being brought upon new generations of light workers and healers and all empaths. So we are saying hello to everybody and thank you for joining us. Caleb's joining us from his command central.
the Batmobile.
The Batmobile. That's a good name for it. I like that. We're all in different
So
parts of the globe.
we can comment on YouTube. That is awesome. So any comments are welcome. All questions about the book. We'd like to share some insights about the book, which has been, I've said, is a collaboration between Diane, Caleb, and myself. Caleb being the photographer, Diane being the writer, and it's about my teachings and my experiences as a medium channeler of healing. And through this process of writing the book, that the information of the book has been channeled through me, and working with Diane. Diane has helped me to write the book, and Caleb's photography is what captured the aura or the presence or the energy of this book. So, and the three of us all being empaths and light workers, this has been in the works for a while, and today it's actually released on Barnes and Noble or Amazon website. And I know at the moment will be giving away a couple of the books, and then selling the rest of the signed copies that I have. I'll be talking about that towards the end of the show. And Diane and Caleb have copies, but Barnes and Noble and Amazon is where you can get your copy starting right now.
Diane. Oh, there she is.
Can you see me?
Yeah,
It must
There
have
you
lost
gone
you
to
for a
sleep
second.
on you. Sorry.
We're saying
Okay.
hello to Joe. Joe is waving at us.
Hello, Joe.
Kathy, we say
Hello,
hello.
Hello, Joe. Join us in the chat room if you can. We'd love to see who's here.
That's
Hear
right.
some questions. I'm watching for you.
Now, Diane, tell us about your, this is the day that you released what you've expressed through my teachings, but not only my teachings, it's what you have experienced in your own life, because you're a client as well. And through your experiences, through your healing, you were able to, that you're talking from experience, and you were writing from experience, not just for what I've said, but your own growth, the amazing results that you have had through your healing sessions, being ready and being able to express yourself in the book. And now that the book is released, how does that feel for you?
Feels like I'm letting go of a baby. It feels like a child, but it also it's such a change for me. And that's what I think that I really want to make clear to people is that even 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, you would have never caught me doing something like this. I would have never put my face out there. I would have never gotten around to writing a book. I was in no shape. And really, the healing sessions, I've changed. I think it's a transformation. It's allowing ourselves to come to that place where we start to listen to our own selves, our intuition. we start to heal that inner child. That was the biggest thing for me, was getting into that place, coming out of such pain, and getting to that place where I could have confidence and I could find joy again, and I could get back to that child long before I lost my husband to cancer, long before a bad abusive marriage, long before all of that. The way that the healing sessions worked for me was starting at that most recent pain and working and working and working. It's not easy, and we have to stick with it. But when you get to that place where you're back at that inner child, that's when you can really open up to your intuition, and you start to really hear your own higher self. And so this book was like something that took on a life of its own. I remember saying that from the beginning. When we first began to write this, I felt like it was going to write itself, and it really has. And as I read through it, it's written in parable form. It's written in very simple messages, but as you read it, you will find lessons that we learn through the healing sessions, through the many videos that you put out, Paul. That's a lot of the messages were written directly from your teachings, and even though they aren't the exact words that you may have used, it's the same lessons in an easy format that makes it enjoyable to read, and yet every person will gain something different from it, and it's good for all ages. If a child knows how to read and they feel drawn to it, it's perfect for them.
That is awesome. I totally agree. It is taken on a life of its own. And Caleb, how from Diane asking you to be part of the book, how has this energy of this shifted your thoughts or your views, or how has this book affected you?
The book has affected me. It was like the course of 3 months. She asked me in August. She said, "Hey, I've got a project. I want you on board." And I remember the first day I picked up that camera, it felt like the means of something, to do something. Like there was a reason I had that camera. I didn't think about it until then. I picked it up and I'm like, okay, there's something that I have to do. And I could never figure it out. And then when I met you guys at the airport, I said this in the foreword in the book. The first thing you said to me was, "How was your flight?" And it was a really weird question because I didn't even know who you were. So it was a weird question for you to be so welcoming. And I remember every single moment after that, that whole week that we worked on the book and we took pictures for the book, we wrote things about the book. Diane and you both kind of helped me figure out that there are signs that you need to follow. And if you don't follow them, life will punish you, because it's happened before. If you don't follow the book and you don't follow the signs that life gives you, you're not going to get to where you need to be. And the book has really taught me that. The whole process of writing the book has taught me that if you don't follow the steps that Universal Oneness presents, you're not going to get anything done in life. You have to follow the signs.
Yeah, each of us have our own unique path and our own unique things where you can stay looping around for a period of time, and your problems and everything that you're experiencing, your unhappiness, making the wrong choices. But you have to open up. You have to open up to source energy. You have to open up to universal oneness, and you have to give your free will and free choice. And because God gave us all free will and free choice, that we are all our own individuals, and we have the light of source energy in us, of universal oneness. There's no separation between the light. So when we come to the light, when we come to our higher selves and universal oneness and accept it, say, okay, you know what, I'm done with this stubbornness, and I'm done floundering around. And then when you're ready, it just takes off. It just takes over. But the process is about healing, and it's about healing within. It's about healing. And that's where we go back to the child, because it really always goes back to the inner child. And that's why with this book, this is the first step of healing. It's going back to, it's really finding yourself again. It's finding that, okay, who was I before all of this chaos, before all of this trauma, blame, shame, and guilt and everything came into my life. Entities, attachments, thought forms, past life stuff, all of this energy is all accumulative. But if you have light in you, if you're an empath, if you're a light worker, and you are looking for a way out, and you, whether you know how to meditate, whether you know how to connect with the universal oneness, if your intent is that you're talking to your higher self, that you're talking to God, the angels, the masters, know that it is being heard, and you will find a way. And this book could be one of the ways of starting you off on the path, and reaching out. And when you reach out for help, help will be there. Now this is a time of all light workers that are connecting to their higher selves. This is a time where hundreds of thousands of light workers are on the earth, even more than that, and are being born. And all of us empaths, the generations that we have been through hell. And in our own hell, we're holding the light. We're holding the light and changing the vibration of the earth by for the new generation of light workers to come in and do what they already have programmed within themselves to do. So we are laying down the path. And a beacon of light, part of the name Anchor Light, is that there is, through all the storms, through all the turmoil and the rough seas, that there is a light, there is a beacon. And once you click onto it, once you open yourself up and say, you know what, I'm ready, and that's when the healing takes place.
Exactly. That's what it feels like. You know, the book is almost, it's opening up the windows and the doors to the light. That's how I always look at it. It's very simple, but when you start reading it, all of a sudden your heart starts lighting up. You start to see your path. That's what the whole idea of the book is. It's a treasure map. It's stepping into that almost a fairy tale, that different world where you're back to being that little child and you're following your map and you're looking for your treasure. And so as you're going through the little stories, each one has a little bit buried in it, and you'll start to find yourself, and you'll find a path. Hopefully it'll open up some windows and some doors. It may be a just small little windows at first. You may have to put it down for a while, go back to it later on, but when you're ready, you're going to get the messages.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Bouncing off what Diane said, you think you have a purpose, and then you don't really know until you find, you read Anchor Light and you figure out there is a purpose, there is a path that you have to take. You don't really have to take it, but there's a path you can take, and it will lead you to treasure. You just have to figure out where to start, and Anchor Light's a really good starting place.
Right.
That's right. I totally agree. And we can fight it as long as we want. But if the light, if you're ready for it, you'll know. There'll be a draw to it. You'll feel in your heart. You'll feel that you just have this inner knowing and this calling to your purpose, and surrendering your ego, surrendering your fears, mostly, which is based off of ego, of becoming the person that you're meant to be, to become and to be on your spiritual path. And that we're all usually born off of the path. There's none of us that are just born and, hey, all the answers are there, because there'd be no point of being on the earth. That it's all about the journey. And like you said, Diane, the treasure map concept of the book, and it's really a great way of explaining it and giving people a story, a visual, and a way of tapping into the inner child and saying, remember when life was fun. Remember when there was innocence. That really hasn't changed in anybody's life, except for our minds, for how we have been affected by all of the things in life that have happened to us, that have not only blocked us from our higher selves, from our own inner light, but attachments that are on us, external energies that are on us, and that these energies can be removed from you. You can be free of the guilt, the blame, the shame, the depression, the being completely lost and having no purpose in life, to wondering what you're doing here and why you're doing here and not even wanting to be here. It's bringing purpose to the soul. And there's no coincidences during these times that with the book being released, that this is a huge shift in the world. It's a huge shift in universes, and the energy is changing, and the clouds. A lot of people are going through hell right now, and really deep inner turmoil within the shifts of themselves, and to where it's really hard just to stay on the normal path of being a light worker, and giving this is where it's easy for people to just give in and give up. But this is where the heart breaks open and the healing really begins. This is the deep, deep, deep core healing going on right now. So when you're going through this stuff, you feel completely cracked open to where you just can't give anymore. But really, that's the only time that healing could come into your life, is when your heart has been broken, is when you are at the point to where you just give up and let go and let the pain come in. We came to the earth to feel energy. That's why we're in the human body. So it's time to let ourselves heal, let ourselves crack open, let the egg crack, let the shell fall away, and be naked and vulnerable energetically through all aspects without fear, and then start the new process. And that's what this book, Anchor Light, is all about. See the compass on there? That's right. It's finding the way, finding your own path, not being codependent on anybody. It's letting go and trusting that you have your own instilled map.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that you said that with the stripping away and the getting down to the very, that's where the book started. The book started at the most painful time that I can imagine. And if I hadn't gone through that, losing Steve to cancer, if I hadn't gone through that, I don't believe that I ever would have been brought to you, Paul, and I don't know that this book ever would have happened. So that's, it's rising above. There's one chapter in the book that talks about that. It's learning to rise above. Instead of sitting there and saying, poor me, I've gone through all this awful stuff, I'm just going to lay around and I'm going to be sad the rest of my life. The book is written more about this happened to me and what good came out of it. What happened because of that pain. And that's what we all need to learn to do. So that's a big part of the book, is learning to be the observer instead of the victim.
That's right. That's awesome. That's very, very, very powerful. The observer, once we realize that we're just observing the things that are happening in life, and that it's trying not to get run over by them, and we're all going to get run over by them eventually, but it's coming back to the truth. Mm-hmm. Now, anybody that is blocked, anybody that feels blocked, even from, I remember being blocked as my team's coming in, they're telling me this, that when we're so blocked and we're in such of a place that we can't even ask, we're not even able to ask for help, to actually say, I need help, or it's hard to even reach out and connect with somebody, even if you do know the way. So anybody that's listening to this, or who will listen, that they're getting their own healing right now as we speak. Okay. And that everybody that is having a hard time getting out of their own way, letting themselves, letting the barriers down to experience what they need to release, then I'm sending healing to everybody at this time. and for the rest of this show.
Perfect. Now we do have some questions. So I've got one that came through earlier that was really good, and we'll have to see how it affects each one of us. Brenda Tony Firestein came up earlier, and she had a good one. It's kind of deep. Are there processes for us to do on ourselves to facilitate healings and raise our consciousness in this book?
Okay, read that again.
Okay.
I almost got it.
All right. Are there processes for us to do on ourselves to facilitate healings and raise our consciousness in this book?
Yeah, I think the whole book is that. The whole book is that, yeah, we have to do it all. It is work. That's why we're called light workers. But when you have the knowing, and the teachings of this isn't from Paul, it's from what I've channeled from the masters, from the angels, from universal oneness for many years. And they teach me what to teach. And a lot of their energies is so simple that's the techniques are so easy. So the book breaks it down to the simple forms of how to shift your mind and how to look at certain things. And once you read this, something shifts in the soul, and then there's a click. And once you have that knowing, I always say, once you know, you can't unknow. There's that knowledge, and the knowledge is a frequency. Frequency is energy. And once this energy downloads into the soul and you have that knowing, now you're every step you're creating your path, and you're becoming part of the process.
It's taking ownership, really. It's taking ownership of your own well-being. And it's not just, we think of a light worker, well, we're coming into the world and we're going out to help everybody. It's not just that. It's you help everybody by finding your own joy, by being happy. So that's what the book is all about. We want you to get back to who you really are, to that inner child where you can laugh and you can find joy and you can, and just, find your peace, and your path is where your happiness lies. So it's all interconnected.
That's by people reacting with love, and by people, a light worker, like you said, doesn't have to be a medium, doesn't have to be a channeler, doesn't have to be a psychic or Reiki or anything. Just live your life, find your light and live it, because when you react out of love, people are going to be drawn to you, and they're going to want to know what you're doing. What does this person have or doing that I'm not doing? You're sending out a frequency by healing and loving yourself and doing things that you love for yourself. You are a light worker. You are literally healing the world and changing the vibration just by you being you, just by you being alive, just by you knowing that you are surrounded by thousands of beings of love and light that are supporting you on your journey, and that you're holding the light that's changing the world from the old energy to the new energy. That's why this book is so important. It's about getting healing to the empaths and light workers. When these people have healing, and a lot of empaths and light workers that are listening now and will continue to, is they feel the calling inside. They feel it, and that this purpose is here. That purpose is coming, and that there's something that they need to do. And just by you seeking out your purpose, you're holding the energy for this change of out of the old and in with the new. And there's no more healing that anybody can do than that. This is about getting the healing. And a lot of you knew that this time was coming. You knew that this time was coming. Before you manifested your energy out of consciousness into the physical body on the earth, you already knew that help was coming, that there was going to be a time where all the beacons around the world, the healing grid lit up, and we were all going to connect. And this is the time. This is the time. This is the movement of Christ white light energy into the earth, into the world, into mankind. So any way we could bring the healing to people is the way. Just by loving yourself, you're changing the world.
And I think that's the first thing that you learn too. The healing sessions, I know with me, the beginning was, I knew that I had something to do. I knew from the beginning that I would be writing a book, but I wasn't ready to write that book. It was healing first. It had to be. And I remember that very first session. And the biggest thing was they want you healed. So that's what we have to have a place to start, and that's you get healed. And then you learn to love yourself and you start meditating and you start, learning how to tap into your own higher self. And then all the rest of it, all the pieces just start falling into place. That treasure map that we're talking about, it's these things, these are your tools. So the question that she asked, yes, the entire book is a tool for you. It's not going to stand there and tell you exactly how to meditate, nothing like that. It's just going to open you up. It's going to open up your intuition so that you know what you need, so that you start to follow that path that comes from inside of you and you find your own truth.
Nice. So Caleb, how was that? I was thinking today, I'm like, Caleb's healing session. How has that opened your eyes to your path? Like you as a photographer, you that have a vision, that's an empath. How has this shifted you at all?
Okay. There's actually 3 distinct things that happened after the session. And the first thing happened literally 2 hours after Paul left.
Yeah,
Diane was like, look, just move up here so we can all work together. And I was like, I can't. And then Paul singled me out in the session. He's like, look, you need to remove all your blocks. All your blocks have been lifted. And then later that night after you guys left, I was thinking, there's no reason I can't move to New York. There's no reason. It's just social stigma and stuff like that. And it was like that night that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go up there and do this. And then, as a photographer, and my vision changed substantially. I guess I saw more clearly what I wanted to do, what I wanted my work to be like. Like if you watch the promos, you could see that was my completely unique art style, and I didn't know that was my art style until after the session. I didn't know what I was doing until after that. Now I know exactly what my vision is and what I want to be as a photographer. I know exactly what my style is, and I did not know that before. I was completely blind, and then now there's nothing stopping me. I don't know why I felt like there was anything stopping me before, but now there's definitely nothing stopping me at all. So it was surprising.
And that's how it is. You don't know that the blocks, you don't really necessarily know the blocks are there or how much the blocks are there until they're removed. And that's when you have something to match it against. And that's when you see, wow, like, okay, glad that's gone. We're so used to carrying around this energy, this fog in between our mental bodies and our physical bodies, our mental bodies and our emotional bodies, our mental bodies and our spiritual bodies. And think of all the other connections in between, emotional to the spiritual and the multidimensional bodies and all of the past lives and akashic memories coming in and karma releasing. And then we have the out with the old energy, in with the new. We're going through a lot, and never mind mass consciousness, right? Everything that's going on in the news and vibrating in the world, which I do want to say to that our job as light workers, if you're watching the news and you're following everything that's going on, our job is not to fear it. Our job as light workers is to go about our everyday lives, loving our life, loving our path, and following your path. So you're just going about it as if it's not even happening. We're not giving it any energy. And once we show it fear, well, that's what the energy wants, especially light workers, because we're very powerful. We have source energy. So if we're draining up, and this isn't just the news, this is any place in your life. If we're giving our energy to fear, think of how much You know, that's like a tree landing on the power wires and the electricity shorting out. It's sending all of the energy down the wrong road just by, you know, the more I hear about what's going on in the world that's negative, or I happen to see something on the news, when I turn on the laptop, then send it healing. Well, just, okay, well, universal oneness, this makes me want to be me even more. This makes me want to, that my world is not what's going on, and that I'm sending healing through me being me. So a lot of people may think to these new empaths that you're being selfish by following your path. You're not. You're saving the world.
Being happy. Let's see, what else do we got? What do you hope? I think we've already talked about that. What do we hope comes from the book? It's a fairly vague question, but if anybody's got an answer for that.
What do you think, Caleb?
Coming from my perspective, I hope that once you read it, you realize that there's more to life than what you're thinking. All these bad things happening to you, and you think there's just nothing, like there's no point. I hope once you finish the book, you see that there's a golden stretch that you need to be on, and that's exactly what happened to me. And I was just like, what am I doing? I'm in college every day. There's no point to it. Why am I here? And then I read the book, and I'm like, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I hope that brings a little clarity to anybody who reads it.
That's right. It's like I said, we're here to bring healing to people. We're here to get them on their path. This is why, this is what empaths are here for. So the collaboration of this book is through the innocence and just being connected to our own individual higher selves, to say, and out of just the hearts of who we are, to our intent is nothing else than bringing healing to people. And it's always been that from second one, that I have teachings that I have been taught. This stuff has to be put out there. And then it just clicked in that I met you, Diane, and Caleb, for us to manifest this. So it's all about this book getting to as many people as possible so they can have the light, the beacon, the anchor light in the distance, in the dark, to say, okay, you have a way out of this, out of your situation, but you're doing it. You're going to do it. We'll bring you all the help you need. We'll bring you the treasure map. We'll bring you all the tools, but you're going to take the steps through the fear, and while releasing energy, you'll have more of clarity. You'll have more clarity, and it'll be more of a fear energy fight, so to speak, that when you're having these layers of emotional trauma and fears and attachments and cords from the past, once this stuff is released from you, that you can have the freedom, and for the first time, your vision to get straight, and for you to understand what it's like not to have attachments, what it feels like to not have energies or entities or spirits attached to you, traumas, and you get to know what it's like to be in your own energy field. Well, once that happens through healing sessions, well, now it just comes easy, and you're a natural, and you're just going to naturally find your path. It's just getting yourself to healing, getting yourself to find your path and your light is the hardest part. And once you break that seal, I remember the first session I had, once that was it. Well, I felt the energy release from me, the entity release from me, and it was very serious one. And I saw it leave, and I felt it leave. And once it left, that was it. I was a natural, and everything just took over. My Holy Spirit higher self, and everybody else's higher self just takes over. Once you open the door and realize that you have all the help and the guidance that you could possibly imagine, once you say, hey, I need help, boom, it all changes from there.
Mm-hmm. It's taking that step out. One of the pieces is called the plank, and I think that was the biggest. That one speaks a lot to me because I had to be willing to take that step. We all do. We have to step out into the unknown. We don't always see what's underneath us, and that's really what this was about. I remember the first healing session that I had. I was so sick because I was afraid. I didn't know what to expect, and from that first, like you said, from that first session. Not that it was easy. It was difficult, but it was still, I felt so much better. After a few days, it was like, okay, I got to do this again, and I got to do this again. And now I'm to the point where bring it, whatever they want to give me, I'm like, bring it on, because I want it all. So I think it's baby steps. And like you say, it's peeling back those layers of an onion. It's like, you just keep going and going. And all of a sudden you get back to who you really are. And then it's like, okay, now I'm like Wonder Woman. I want it all. And I'm not afraid anymore. So you get.
I remember from the first session very clearly, and yeah, there's nothing stopping you now. Mm-hmm. So it is like layers of an onion, but for everybody, it's different because I'm connecting people to source energy, their higher selves, and then it's up to them how much they're ready to release. And you just took right off. Once you experienced that first session from what you've been through, and that's why it was perfect that you wrote the book, because you walked the walk and you've experienced it. And to see how fast from such a recent time of losing your husband and everything else that you've been through, from the time, for the amount of growth that you've had and self-healing and self-love and how you're progressing on your path, it's that this is why I always write that each session is life-changing, because as a human, and I'm watching the results from clients around the world, it's the same result, and it still surprises me it's so powerful that it's amazing. So you can take it as far as you want to go, and everybody lives up to their own content level, but it gives life a real newness. This is where the inner child comes out, because you get excited again. Every day is a new possibility. The normal everyday 9-to-5 life disappears, and you start finding purpose, and the things that you always thought you'd never be able to do vanish and evaporate. The walls disappear around you, and then you start seeing truths, and this is exciting, and this is excitement, more excitement than you've ever experienced in your lifetime.
It's exactly true. It's like I said at the beginning, it's a transformation. We're not even, when I look back 6 months ago or even 2 weeks ago, it's a constant growth. We don't ever stop. We just keep getting better and better. As much as we'll allow to come in, it just keeps getting better all the time. So beautiful.
Let me read this thing that Diane was talking about a little bit ago, talking about the plank. There's a passage from it that she's specifically referring to, and I figured I might as well read it since I have the book right here. Letting go was not something she was good at, but she was learning that in letting go, she could begin again. She did not turn back to watch the ship leave the horizon. That chapter was over, and she was ready to turn the page. When we go down a few lines, there comes a time for each one of us when we simply know that a chapter is complete. There is a restless feeling as if we need to let go of the past and begin again. There is great strength in letting go of the old and stepping forward into a brand new life. Is that what you're referring to?
That's the one, yes. Because that one was really me. It was letting go of all that pain.
Jeez.
We just have to come to that point where we're ready to let it go. We don't have to carry all that pain. You don't have to carry all that darkness, whatever all that stuff that you've accumulated from this life, from past lives, whatever. The whole idea of this is you start to take it and lay it down. Lay it down and start all over again. And you can just totally recreate yourself.
And it's such a blessing to be able to have this it's like a rebirthing, a baptism of light, if you will, to really have, to be able to start over and to start fresh when you may think that this is the way it's going to be for the rest of your life, was pretty much the biggest blessing to this day that still blows my mind, that I am on the journey that I am on. When you connect to your higher self, when you choose the light and you choose healing, and you surrender to that inner calling within you, that small voice, and you have the strength to be sensitive and and to express your truth, which a lot of people just stay in the land of ego because they're afraid to express their truth. They'll go lifetimes and nope, they're not going to do it. They're not ready because of past life memory of being murdered or persecuted for being a light worker. And a lot of light workers are just here. They just want to heal. They don't want to come out and be themselves. But the ones that have that really deep inner calling, you're not going to be able to ignore it. And you're not going to want to, because you're going to feel the excitement inside. You're going to feel this energy. It's hard to describe in human words, this calling of light, of purpose, of knowing that there's something amazing just on the other side. Like holding up a piece of paper with a little pinhole punched into it. If you're holding the paper far away, you're just going to see the little dot on the page. But when you pull the paper up close and you look into that little pinhole, a whole new world opens up. And it's like that. Bring that in until, and everybody's going to find their own way. If you're looking for that doorway, it'll come to you. And the best thing to do is just start by asking your higher self and giving your higher self and universal oneness, the angels and masters, permission to to come into your life and to begin to change it.
I think one of the questions too that we get a lot is, excuse me, ages. They want to know whether or not book is good for young people, old people. And I'm going to speak from my own personal family. I have a lot of kids. One of them in particular fights reading, and he's 14 years old. So, but he picked up this book, and just this last week came down to me and said, "I've started reading your book." And I'm like, "That's awesome." And then he said, the one thing that I love about this book is that it makes me stop and think. And that was like, that's all I needed to hear from this child, that really, he's on his path. You can tell he's starting to find himself at 14. It's a confusing time. But the fact that these kids are coming in, they're different. You know, this child is definitely one of these crystal children, indigo, I'm not sure. Always been very difficult, always been very angry, always bucked the system. The boy is here for a purpose, and he's trying to figure out what it is. And this book is helping him to think, and it's starting to open that up for him. So definitely good That's for kids.
And to think about what an amazing gift this would be. Mm-hmm. To give this book to the light worker that you know, the young child or anybody. If you could read, this book is going to get to you. And what a gift. What a gift. So I want to tell people again, while we're talking about it, that this book, Anchor Light, is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon website. And we each have our own copies. So we'll give you our own individual information, how you can receive signed copies. And they're very limited. And that it's a great gift for yourself or for anybody. There's no better gift to give to yourself or anybody than the gift of healing. Healing. Any way that people choose to do that, as long as you're sending healing out, your intent is real, then you're just helping to change the world. That's all you're doing. I mean, if you think that your life there's no purpose behind it, well, you want to know why it's been so difficult, you're just changing the world. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to go through the valleys. It's not always easy. We go through the valleys, we come back up shining. That's our job. And when we come back up, we're stronger and we're better, and our lights just shine that much brighter. So
that's right.
I also have a review from somebody who got an early copy of the book. It's from my father. Enough said. Not more much needs to be said about that. But he got a copy of the book this past weekend, and he read it, and he just said he didn't come up with a full review because he didn't finish all the way through it. But he said he got the main gist of what was coming through for the book, and this is the review here. He said, "I believe in this concept. I've always believed in something like this. The part of the book I've read so far is still a bit confusing to me. It's like the first time I watched Pulp Fiction. I didn't have a clue what was going on. I can envision what I want from this book, but it will take some rereading to get the best of what it has to offer." Now, if you've watched Pulp Fiction, you know exactly what he's talking about because the movie is in the wrong order. So that's what he's saying. In that review, he's saying that this book probably won't get you the first time. It might not. If it doesn't, reread it.
It's a
Put the
treasure.
pieces in the right order. Yeah, it's a treasure map. You're going to have to figure it out yourself.
That's right.
And we're not all ready for all of it at one time, pieces of it. And if you don't feel like you're ready for it when you're reading it, put it away. And when you do feel, I had one other review. This Ruth Bradford told me something, and I don't have that in front of me, but she said something about it. It made her feel really good to read it. And she said the best thing to do is to keep the book, and when you start feeling down, read it again. Pick it back up. You're feeling kind of off, like say it did have an effect on you, and then you walk away from it for a little while, pick it back up and read it again. And maybe in that new place, you're going to find something new.
I have it right
latch
here.
onto
If you want me
something
to read
different.
it.
Yes, do that.
Okay. Ruth Bradford said this book is incredible. Buy it and read it over and over again. If you feel down and pull out this book and read it, well, if you feel down, pull out this book and read it. It is a great inspiration and an eye-opener for your soul. Kudos to Diane.
And that's also, let's see, we got one from Linda. Linda, I'm bad with names. Lamu? You'll have to tell me sometime. Tell me how to say your name. Ooh. Yeah. Anyway, she just said, I have started to read this book and it's incredible. It grabbed me on page 1. So that feels good. Thank you, Linda.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it's I think the whole book has really captured the essence of it. And it's about reading it. Hey, who's that guy?
That's page 1. She got caught on you, Paul. So that's a compliment.
Thank everybody that's been supporting everything through the whole process, and that will spread the word too about the book and the whole healing process, that everybody's on their own path, and very, very, very grateful for everybody. And for all the kind words and messages that we've all received. And we love to hear everybody's comments and how they feel about it. And now, would you guys want to give your information to sell the books that you have individually? We'll give everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that each one of us. Now, Caleb, I don't know if you actually made a page for it. I don't have a page. If you are interested in it and you want a signed copy, you may message me directly. And I think is that the same for you, Caleb?
Well, no, the way I have it structured is if you go to my website, it's collaboratemedia.com, CALEBORATE media.com. You can PayPal. You can order a book off the website, and the book you order off that website is, of course, one of the few signed copies that we do have. So, and they're actually cheaper on my website than they are on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So, I got the hookup. We're good.
I noticed they do have a sale today. But Barnes & Noble, I didn't check. Amazon does have, I think it's a 20 or 25% off. I think it's 20% off. So it's on sale. It's a good time to get it.
And you could just buy like 30 copies or so and then give them out as Christmas gifts.
That's awesome. You're done.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Give them to all the kids.
Like, hey, kids, stocking stuffers.
For real, the gift of healing. And I have a limited supply at the time, and then I'll have more coming. But my email, my name directly on Messenger is the best way, or my email, which is WYROSTEK 1 at Gmail. That's WYROSTEK 1 at Gmail. Now that we've gotten that out there. Is there any more questions that we can address?
I do need to say it's Linda Lemieux. Thank you, Linda, for correcting that for me. Becky Scagnoli Kennedy just says, I can't wait to get it. I'll run out to grab it after this. Awesome. Don't run out to get it. Just go online and get it. I don't know that it's in the stores. It's online.
Yeah, online is definitely the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure if they're going to actually be any physical copies in store yet. Because if there is going to be, I will make a trip down to Barnes and Noble for anybody that's interested, just so I can see my name on a book in Barnes and Noble. But while I'm there, I might as well buy a few copies, you know?
That's right. We'll have to watch for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There will eventually be an ebook. That is not, the information hasn't been given to me yet, but that will be also available soon, and I will keep you guys up to date on that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
I actually have a few questions from my father. Oh, God. Oh, jeez.
Just be careful.
No, there's just a lot of them. Okay, the first question is, how am I supposed to know what to let go and what to hold on to?
Whatever feels horrible, whatever's weighing you down and draining your energy, wherever the weight is, whatever you've been avoiding, whatever you've been procrastinating on, and the things in life are still not working, and then you keep trying the same thing and it's still not working. And those answers will come within days too. That through your higher self, you'll start coming across circumstances in life and you'll start realizing, wow, this no longer serves me. You know,
And
every time I hit myself in the head, it hurts. Well, when you're done hitting yourself in the head, it's not going to hurt. It's that type of thing, but only we can face it and only we can let it go.
And I hate to use this metaphor, but it's kind of like a baby's diaper. When you get a lot of crap in there and it starts to drain you, hold you down, you might want to change the diaper, okay? So, you know, when there's things holding you down, a bunch of crap holding you down, maybe it's time to, you know, say that you don't need this, because society has a way of making you feel bad for getting rid of things that make you feel bad, which is really weird. I don't know why that became a thing, but if it doesn't make you happy, there's no reason for it to be around. So just let it go. You know, there's no one saying that you can't let go of things that don't make you happy. Just society, and who cares at that point, you know?
Right. I always say it's get out of your mud puddle. You know, you can stay in it for as long as you want, but really it takes work and it takes courage and it takes strength for that one first moment that of just to actually make the decision to stand up and start releasing. But it takes time. The healing path it's a path, and it's once you open that door and you take the step, just by your dad asking questions, he's already, the answers are going to start coming to him. Things are going to start. It's a path. It's not going to happen overnight, and you don't want it to, because if too much is released, it'll be a nightmare. So it's one step at a time, and if you're asking, you'll get the answers.
Okay, I actually cut him off. Hang on, Diane. Hang on. Don't.
This is an important thought here.
I know, but I cut his question off. I didn't realize. I didn't read it all the way through. It starts off, okay, how am I supposed to know what to let go and what to hold on to? I've led a rather confusing life. Most importantly, why should I trust myself in making the right choices and trying to change myself?
I was going to answer that.
Oh, okay, let me finish the question. I've become the master of sarcasm. That would be something I'd have to let go. It's my defense mechanism to keep me from having to care too much. That seems to be my biggest downfall. I care too much and end up finding out I didn't need to. Okay, there you go. Now you can go.
This is what comes through to me, is that we have to let go of guilt. You know, what it comes down to is a lot of us don't allow ourselves to feel better. We don't allow ourselves to let go of a lot of the pains because we think that there's somebody judging us. We're judging ourselves. We're probably our own worst critics. And knowing my brother, I know that that's the way that it more than likely is that he feels like he doesn't deserve any better. I grew up in the same home, and I know what it is to feel like maybe we didn't have enough security as children. We didn't feel that overwhelming love from home. So a lot of us as little children, we start to build walls. We try to protect ourselves and we hide. And the biggest thing for me was when I got down to that little girl and she was hiding. I can tell you right now that my little girl was very well hidden. I protected her really well. So that's really what it comes down to, is letting yourself get back to that little child that before the world started tearing you apart.
That's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
and sarcasm is extremely expensive. That's how, I forgot who put it. Somebody said that, and I was like, that is the best way of putting it. I was the king of sarcasm, and when you throw that out there, what I mean by expensive is it drains your energy account,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing left inside the tank after you throw all that sarcasm around. And I know it feels good, and I know it seems like an asset. Well, you're recognizing that it's something you have to let go. Practice it slow. I've done it. You're going to feel better. Do it gently, and just by recognizing it is the key. And once you start backing off, you're going to realize that your mouth is going to open less. The less your mouth opens, the less energy you're putting out. So listening more, and without the sarcasm comes with judgment. Just in, like Diane said earlier, just be in you're just observing life. So you don't have to send out a judgment or anything. It's just observing it in baby steps. Start slow.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, go ahead. I've got two statements from Linda real quick on that same subject.
All right.
The biggest one is she says that guilt is what she did the best. But then on the day with the information that she had, that's what it's like. That's all we know. But then there was a day, now she has new information, a new perception, and it's easier for her to let go of the guilt. So it's changing the way that you're looking at it again. It's getting above and observing.
That's right. Awesome.
What else you got, Caleb?
Nothing. Do we have any more questions?
There was one more thing that Linda said. Linda Lemieux. Got that right, I think. I like your name, Linda. That's awesome. She said journaling your questions and answers, your choices would be good. And I think that's important to know that with this book, is that as you're reading the book, as things start to come to you, as your intuition, your higher self starts to whisper in your ear, there's some blank pages on the back of the pictures. There's places to write. Keep a journal with you. And as things start to come up, write it down, because you're going to need that. All those little things, they're little hints. Those are your clues on that treasure map through all of this. It's going to help you along the way.
Yeah, and also keep in mind of the environment that you're reading the book in, because if you're out in the beautiful outdoors where it's sunny and shiny, it's going to be a lot easier to read the book. But if you're in the house where it's dark and muggy and the kids are slapping you with baseball bats, you're not going to get much out of the book, because it's just not going to happen. But yeah, just try to keep in mind where you're reading the book, because it's a lot easier for your intuition to help you when your intuition is calm and in its natural place.
Right.
Right. It's that meditation. It's learning how to get to that quiet place. Typically, when you read things from that's when you're well centered, you're grounded, and you're reading it, you're going to hear something totally different than if you're all distracted.
And like you said, to do it I also wanted to mention too that this is about finding your way out of the darkness. It's about finding your way out of the muck, out of all of the resistance. And so, if you're picking up the book and everything's feeling great and you're happy, it's going to come across differently when you're actually in the situation where the work takes place now, as being a light worker. That, okay, now when you read it in this point of actually applying it, that the book's really going to hit. This is where it's going to hit home. And that this is where you're going to hear it. This is when you're really going to hear it. So it's definitely a book that can be read a few times. And thanking everybody who's joining us. Jenny Waterhouse, hello, and everybody who has joined us and has been with us and that will continue to watch the show. We'll see this after it's off the live, but thanking everybody that is part of the show and sending love and healing to everybody.
Yeah, we do need to wrap this up because I still gotta make fajitas for dinner. But I do want to say one last thing, unless you guys have anything else to say. This is gonna be the last thing I say. It's December 5th.
Mhm.
It's
It
the
is.
release date of Anchor Light. We started this project in August.
You started the
August what?
project in August. Yeah, it went a
Yeah, I
little
started
longer
in
for some
August.
of us, but
Well, I've been along for about August, September, October, November. Yeah, 5 months. So that's 5 months, and I never. My life hasn't changed more in the past 5 months than it has in the past 19 years that I've been alive. So we really gotta congratulate ourselves.
mhm.
Paul, you've done a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diane, you've done a lot. I
That's
feel
right.
like the,
Thank you.
the the Trinity, we really did something that's going to change the world, and I feel like this is more personal than a public live stream, but Anchor Light, it can help you. It can help you a lot. It can completely change you if you allow it to. It
That's
depends
right.
on your circumstances. Read the book, please. Just read it. Things they change so much once you read it. It's not just a book. It like Diane said, it's a treasure map, and you really have to find your way through it. But it's not like it's a hard thing to do, and it's fun to do. Once you figure out that there's a path you have to take, it's a lot of fun to figure it out. Like nothing can bring you down when you're on a path to treasure.
Mhm.
So that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. And that just perfectly, like you said, it changed, your life has changed so much in the past 5 months than in the 19 years. And that's what's happened to me and every single one of my clients that have joined their healing path. You can't imagine the good. You can't imagine the outcome. It's beyond. If you just let that healing in, it's the life you've been waiting for. It's the life you've lived thousands of lifetimes to get to. So awesome, everybody. I want to thank you guys for all of your hard work on this. That today is the release of Anchor Light. We'll show everybody one last time. Woo,
Yeet.
woo.
Mhm.
Anybody who
That's my
wants a
name.
session with me can. My work cell is 401-429-3703. You could connect with me on Messenger. You could type my name on Messenger, connect with me there. WYROSTEK1 @Gmail. You can message me there as well and type my name in on YouTube and subscribe to get all of my videos. And you can contact me also for an audio meditation that I have. It's a 17-minute audio meditation that you can own and that I'm channeling through my higher self to connect with you and clear your chakras daily. We're sending love and healing to everybody. And I hope you have the best week ever, and that today is the first day of the rest of your awesome life. Take care, everybody.
Diane, do you have anything
Oh,
else to say?
you guys said it really well. It's just, I love you guys. I really do. And I hope that you read it and I hope that you feel that through the book. I hope that you feel this combination of energy and you pick it up because I know that I feel it when I pick up the book. I feel an energy. It goes right to my heart and I want you to feel it too. And I hope that it does good. That's why it's
The
here.
book holds energy. The book holds energy, and everybody is going to receive their own individual healing from it. Let it be done, and so it is. Love to everybody. Take
All
care.
right.
Very good. Take
All right,
care.
guys. All
Bye,
right, bye.
Diane. Bye, Paul. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.
Bye, guys.